Good morning, everyone. And if you can hear me, could you please put a thumbs up in the chat? So I'm opening the chat to see if you can hear me. And please put a thumbs up in the chat. I'm seeing some thumbs up. Great. I have a little assignment for you to do this morning. You're in a room, and I'm sure your room is full of lots of stuff. I want you to grab 3 items, just 3 items. I want you to grab it, and I'm going to give you 30 seconds to grab those 3 items and put it on the desk next to you. It could be something on your desk, it could be something behind you, it could be something in front of you. I can show you my 3 items right here, right now. So I have a charger cord, a microphone, and a script of paper. So this is what I want you to do. When you have your 3 items, please share them with me. Take a picture and put it in the chat. So I have my chat up, and I'm looking for your pictures in the chat of the 3 items. So you have 15 more seconds to find those 3 items. I'm waiting for the first picture. Just grab 3 items. Great, I'm seeing the items. Wonderful. Excellent. Awesome. So here's your task, and you have 2 minutes to do it, and we are timing you this morning. I want you to take those 3 items. I want you to create a hat with them. I want you to put the hat on your head, and I want you to take a picture of you wearing your hat and put it in the chat. You have 5 minutes, and we're going to time you. I'm going to give you a little more time to do so. So I'm going to repeat the instructions again, and someone will write it in the chat. And please do not cheat. Use the items you grabbed. You are to take those 3 items. You are to create a hat. You are to put the hat on your head, and you are to take a picture of you wearing that hat. I'm seeing some very interesting items, and I cannot wait to see what that hat looks like. And I hope that some of the persons in the room with me will also create a hat and will also put it on their head, and they will take a picture so we can have some fun together, right? So I want to see how the scissors is going to make it into a hat. I'm really curious. 3 bottles. Someone took 3 bottles. That's going to be a very interesting hat. I could see it being used for carnival already. So take a picture. You have 3 more minutes. Get your hat, take a picture. Oh, I'm seeing some hat. Oh, I love that. That is fantastic, Kellyanne. That's an awesome hat. I want to see how the remote and the phone is going to make a hat. That's going to be very interesting. I really want to see how this cell phone, glue, and pen is going to make a hat. So I can't wait to see your hat, Lakshmi. Or someone picked up a Bluetooth speaker. That's a pretty good hat, Miss Ram Kilawan. That is pretty creative. I couldn't think about a hat that way. And that hat has food. So that is my favorite hat. Oh, I love this one. A wallet. So that hat has money attached to it. That's a bling hat, right? I love it. I love it. Great job. Oh, this one is funny. A basket, and it has what does your basket have in it, Juliet? I can't see quite good. Hand sanitizer, that's great because you could wear it, you could take it wherever you go, and you can, when you touch things, you can wipe your hands, right? Okay, is that a coffee cup? I want to see that hat with the coffee cup. Yeah? Oh, I love the hat, Jenna. That's an awesome hat. I want to see 5 more hats and then we will stop. Oh, I love it. I love the glue. That's a fancy hat. We could wear that hat to church. Great job, Janelle. Right? Samitra, smile. That's pretty creative. 2 pencils. That's awesome. Please take the picture again and smile in this picture. You look awesome in that hat. So I'm taking 3 more pictures and please post your pictures of yourself. Oh, this one I love. Is that a glasses on top of the hat? That's awesome. Great job, Mary. So Abby, I want you to take that picture again because it's a little too dark and I'm an old lady with dim eyes. So I can't quite see the hat and it looks fantastic. Oh, I love this hat, Elizabeth. This hat reminds me of going to the races. Santa Rosa. We'll get them, we'll petition and get them to open just for you to wear that hat to Santa Rosa. That's an awesome job. Alicia, I see in the phone, but I'm not quite seeing the hat. And the hat looks interesting. I'm seeing 2 sides. So could you take the picture again? Aliyah? So I'm taking 1 more picture. 1 more picture of a hat. Oh, Tina, that's my hat. I love it, Tina. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's awesome. You all did a great job, a fantastic job. And let me just say, it goes to show how creative you all are as ECCE teachers. You all are fantastic. So, what's the purpose of creating a hat? So, prompt engineering is kind of like that, where we take all these pieces of things and we put it together and we put it together in a way that is useful to us, in a way that makes sense. I want to spend a few minutes this morning talking about prompt engineering and showing you how to engage with prompt engineering. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some things in the chat for you so that you can access it, but we've also created folders where you can get the same information. So one of my colleagues is going to open up the chat and she's going to put in a link, and that link will take you to a folder entitled Prompt Engineering, and you will find artifacts for today's session on prompt engineering in it. And if you can't access it, don't worry. We are putting resources in the chat for you as well. I want to see hands. How many people use AI tools? So if you use AI tools, just put a thumbs up in the chat. Or maybe I should ask the question the other way around. If you don't use tools, put your thumbs up in the chat. But we already asked you if you use tools, put it in the chat. So we'll go with that. If you use AI tools for anything at all, put thumbs up in the chat. I'm seeing lots of thumbs up, and that's a good thing because I think that AI can make you work smarter. You all work very hard as ECCE teachers, and AI offers the opportunity to work smart. So, shall we begin? If you are not familiar with any of the AI tools, these are some of the starter tools that many people use for many things. And you saw some pictures today that my colleague Victoria presented, and she used Copilot to do so. And Copilot is free to anyone who has a FAC account or MOE.gov account. If you notice, if you sign up for 365 and you use it online, you would notice that the Copilot comes up immediately. So it's there, it's present, and you will be amazed at the things you can do. You need to sign into one of these accounts. I would advise you to use your Copilot. What I have done is I have put this slide, I've taken a little snapshot of this slide, and I've put it in the chat for you so that you have this guide of how to start using it at your convenience. So when you are in your chat GPT and you have it on the side, or your Gemini, if you like using Gemini, I will admit I am partial to chat GPT. let me know by putting a thumbs up in the chat, or the co-pilot, or anyone you feel comfortable with. Just put a thumbs up in the chat so that I can see. We've been doing thumbs up, so let's do something different. How about a smiley face? Put a smiley face in the chat if you have your browser up, because you have work to do today. You're not going to just sit down and listen. So smiley face in the chat if you have your browser up and you have signed in to Copilot. If you don't know how to do it, we have put in the slide in the folder for you, but we've also put it in the chat so that you can also use it that way. So I'm seeing some smiley faces. That's awesome. I guess we are ready to go. Anybody wants me to wait for them? Just say yes in the chat quickly, and I will give you 2 seconds. Only 2 seconds, no more than 2 seconds. So I'm waiting. Right, I'm seeing lots of smiley faces. Yeah, I got a yes. So I'll give you 2 seconds, right? I'll give you a little more. I'll give you about 15 seconds, right? So don't forget whatever one you like. And if you want to use more than one, it's fine. And that's great. The more you use, I like to use more than one. So my go-to is usually ChatGPT and Gemini, because I like to see the differences in responses. So I've given you the 15 seconds and we're good to go. So let's go. So what is prompt engineering? And I am giving you the simplest version of prompt engineering. Believe you me, it's more than this. It is the process of putting text into a language model system, and it will produce a response. When we think about prompt engineering, we want to think about 3 aspects. We want to think about the input that you put in, whether you say create a drawing or create a report. We want to think about what the system does, and then we want to think about the model response that it provides. So the system has many different parts of it to do what it does. And what it does is that it takes your template and it uses language models, but it also uses the context. It also uses all the information it has about the thing you want. So if I want to say, I want to do checklists, it has a lot of information on checklists, or it may have a lot of information on checklists in Trinidad, or it may have a lot of information on checklists in the ECCE context, and it will put all those things together. It might use your chat history too, and then put it together and create a response for you. Prompt engineering is important because the better you are able to create that template, that prompt, the better the response that comes out. So I would say this is the most important of all the skills you can learn with AI, how to prompt well, because if you know how to prompt, it is going to give you what you want. So I want to point you out to 2 caveats before we continue learning how to prompt, how to create that nice little text that is so sweet that when the response comes out, you have very little to do. So the first caveat is that any AI tool is stochastic. So what does that mean? It means that if I use the same AI. So I use ChatGPT twice and I ask it the same question. Or if I use a different version of ChatGPT, or even if I use ChatGPT and Gemini, what will happen is that it will give you different responses. So it will not give you a standard response. It will add different things to it. So it's stochastic. It provides you with different responses regardless of the prompt you put in. So if we good with that explanation, just give me a thumbs up in the chat quickly, please, and thank you. Or if I have to go it over again, I will do it. Great. I'm seeing lots of thumbs up. So I want to show you an example of what that means. So if you look on the left of your screen and on the top, you will see ChatGPT 5 and ChatGPT 4. I put in the question, what are the essential features of a lesson plan? And ChatGPT 5 gave me a different response from ChatGPT 4. If you notice in ChatGPT 4, it talks about structure and flow, but ChatGPT 5 doesn't talk about that, right? If you notice, it talks about reflection alone in ChatGPT 4, but in ChatGPT 5, it talks about reflection and adaption. And on the right, you will see the response from the Gemini. Gemini provided something completely different. Gemini came up with things like flexibility. So if you are thinking about putting in responses into ChatGPT and getting the same response, or if you are thinking about putting in responses into Gemini and getting the same response, that's not going to happen. The AI is sarcastic. So I learned a new word, and I think it's interesting, because what I love to do is I like to put it in different versions and see what comes up. And then I use my critical thinking to figure out how to put it together. And that's an important skill that the AI is teaching us, how to use the critical thinking that we have to create unique and wonderful answers. So we're moving on to the other caveat, and the other caveat is very important. The AI can produce false responses. So what does that mean? They have a fancy term for it, when we talk about AI and the professionals use it. They say, well, it hallucinates, it sees things that not there. But between me and you, what it means is that AI could lie. It just like us. It could lie, right? So I put in a question for it. I say, Ted, what's the best film for the 2026 Oscars? So the 2026 Oscars is here, hasn't yet arrived. It will happen in March 2026. You want to see the answer it gave me? It provided me with films. It provided me with winners, and not just the best actor, best film, It provided me with best director, best actor, best supporting actress, best supporting actor, best animated feature. It even gave me a list of notable films and the ceremonies. So what it do basically is it make up something for me, right? I want you to try it now and put the answer you get in the chat. Here, what I want you to do. Ask it, what is barbecue doubles? Or ask it, how to make barbecue doubles. Take a picture of what you get and put it in the chat for me. Fazina, I know that is funny, right? It is just like us. It will lie, right? Yeah. Well, we'll use the correct term today. It hallucinates, right? So I'm waiting to see what you get if you put in barbecue doubles. And oh, I copyrighted that, so please don't make barbecue doubles, because I came up with that concept, right? So let's see what it will do. Or put in, what is the history of barbecue doubles? And let's see what it will produce. Ah, look, we're getting some responses. Look, it come up with toppings and all. Ingredient list for barbecue doubles, right? Put in something. What is the history of barbecue doubles? And see what it will say.
Kid, tell me what's happening. She, me.
So the point I want to make here is that you cannot trust the AI to just produce something for you. And this is where your critical thinking skills come in. You have to read it to make sure that it is not hallucinating, that it is not producing things that are not there, that is not real. So I want you to remember those two things. It's sarcastic, but it also produces false responses or it hallucinates. So let's talk about how do we engage in prompt engineering. When we do prompting, there are four basic rules that we must follow to begin with. We must be concise. We must use simple language. We must be specific and we must be clear. So I have two pictures on the side there for you. I have a question that says, how to produce a checklist. And that's a simple question written in simple language. But you know what? It's not concise enough. It's not clear enough. It's not specific enough. So the prompt will allow it to go all over the place and will go crazy and will produce a whole book for you. When we do prompt engineering, it is important to be specific and be clear. So a better prompt might be identify the standard headings in developing a checklist for a show and tell for kindergarten students. And even that, by the end of this presentation, you will see how that could do with some work. So we're going to talk about how we could work on that to make it better. Now, this is my favorite way of prompting. There are two ways of prompting, and the first is to have a conversation. Now, I have an Apple phone, and you know why I have Apple phone? Because I love to talk to Siri. I tell Siri all kind of things. I tell Siri, marry me, Siri. I love you, Siri, and Siri will answer me. I love having a conversation with machines. So what you do here is you have a conversation. You start off with a broad question and then you deepen the question. So I have added the three ways of deepening the question here. I started off with, what is a good checklist for show and tell? Because that's something we do at ECCE, right? And then my second question after it provided me with the answer is that I want to focus the chat a little more. So I say, make it focus on communication and expression. And then I put in another piece and then I say, make success criteria, make them into I can statements. So I'm having a conversation with the machine. I want you to try it and I want you to add another question to it. So I have given you three questions. What is a good checklist for show and tell? Make it focus on communication and expression, develop success criteria, and make them into I can statements. I want you to put in another prompt, another piece of the conversation. I left out something very important here. I want to see if you will figure out what is important to add to the conversation. So I want you to do this, add in these three questions, let it respond to question one, then add in the second one, let it respond, and then let it refine and add in the third one. And I want you to put the pictures in the chat of what it produced for you, but I want to see your fourth question. So you have to come up with a fourth question to add to this conversation. So I'll give you a little time to do this. And I'm waiting for the response. In the meantime, what one of my angels here will do is they will put the questions in the chat, so then you could just copy and paste those questions easily. So the first question is, what is a good checklist for show and tell? The second question is, make it focus on communication and self-expression. And the third question is, develop success criteria, make them into I can statements. And I want you to add a fourth question. And if you could put your fourth question that you will add into the chat, that would be wonderful. Yeah, I know I'm working your hard today, no? Right? But that's a good thing, right? Great. I saw that Vidya did one already, right? Vidya, I'm waiting for your fourth question, for your fourth piece of the conversation. You did an awesome job, Vidya, and you added other questions. That's cool. I like that one, Patricia. You hit it. Developmentally appropriate. That's the one I missed. Excellent. You all got it, man. I can't fool you all today at all. So I'm waiting for a couple of responses and then I will move on. I'm waiting for one more response. That's a good one. Denise, can you make it relevant to Trinidad and Tobago? And you can ask it to do that as well. That's a wonderful question to put in, one wonderful piece of the conversation to add. So we have two wonderful pieces of conversation. Make it relevant to Trinidad and Tobago, as well as make it developmentally appropriate. I can't fool you all at all today. So I want you to do something now. I want you to thank the AI. Say thank you to the AI, or say you're wonderful or you're so smart, and see what the AI does. Put it in the chat what the AI told you when you complimented it in the conversation. Say thank you for helping me, or say you did an awesome job. Or you could do like me and say, I love you, AI, and see what it says to you. So I'm waiting to see what the AI said when you said that thank you, you complimented it, you so it said, thank you so much. That really made my day. Do you want me to save a little reminder for you? So I love it because you know what? When I have a conversation with it, I get to say thank you and it gives me a nice little response. Although the makers of AI says that it's wasting time and money to compliment it, but I like to be kind to my machines, right? After all, they carry all my information with them. So that's when you want to relax and have some fun after working hard with AI, complement it and see what happens. So that's one way of doing it. And if you understand how to do the conversation with the AI, please put a smiley face, a big smiley face in the chat for me. I'm seeing lots of laughters. Great. That's awesome. So I want to show you the other way. And this one is a little more complicated, but this one I love because it helps you get exactly what you want. And it's divided into three parts. You explain the topic. You say, this is what I needed to be done. You say the role of who you are and what is your role. And then the last thing is you say your expectation, how you want them to generate a response to you. Let's break down that and show you what that looks like. So the task, you must tell the AI what you want them to do. Is it that you want them to draft a report, create a project, create a rubric? Then you have to say, who is the user? Am I ECC assistant? Am I the manager? Am I an educator? Then you have to provide it with some background. Where is the school located? Is it in a rural area? Is it in an urban area? Tell us something about the children that you're working with. Do they have problems? Do they come from a rural community? Do they have problems understanding? Are you building up their communication skills? And then you have to tell me what the product looks like. If it's a checklist, like we're going to look at in a little bit, how many behaviors you want it to have. Is it yes and no options? Is it, do you want success criteria? Do you want it in I can statements? And then you have to say, what kind of writing style do you want? Do you want it to be child friendly? Do you want it to be simple English? And lastly, how detailed? 1 page, 2 pages, a picture, a portrait, a test, whatever the format is. So you're thinking task, role, context, expectation, tone, and depth. And I want to show you what that looks like. So this is what we are doing. We are creating a simple checklist to assess a child's oral presentation during a show and tell activity. And then you have to say who you are. So that's a task, and you want to say who you are. I am an ECC assistant working in a semi-urban school, and you could put in Trinidad and Tobago, of course. So then I want to create the expectation. And this is a big one, right? Because we have so many parts to it, right? You have to think about the context you're working in. You have to think about the depth and the length. You have to think about the format and the language. And you have to use steps. So I want to create a checklist to assess a child's oral presentation during a show and tell activity for, and then I put in the context. The school is IEY school, and it must align to the ECCE curriculum. I put in the age of the child, 4-year-old, and I'm putting in the skill that I want them to develop. I want them to develop expressive language skills and confidence in group setting. And of course, the ECC Center is located in a semi-urban location. I put in the tone because that's important. I want it to be professional yet supportive, child-friendly, and I want to avoid judgmental terms. I want to use positive phrasing. The format. I want the checklist should include 4 or 5 observable behaviors, and I say what the observable behaviors are. So greets the audience, describes the objects, speak clearly, makes eye contacts. And then with the checklist, it could be yes or no, or always, sometimes, never, depending on what options you want. And then I want it brief but practical. 1 page max with space included for teacher comments. I'm sure you realize this is a lot of writing, but if you are specific with the AI, it will produce for you what you want. And because I love you, I have broken this down for you, and I will share this with you today. So we're going to put it in the chat for you so that you could download it. So this is what the prompt looks like when it's broken down into each of its roles. And what I have put there for you is what the task, the role, the context, the expectation, the tone, and the depth will look like. And then I put an example of what the prompt would look like when I am finished with the prompt. So we're sharing it now in the chat for you. But if you also go back to that folder, you will find that prompt there as well. So this is what it should look like when we do prompt engineering. Yes, it's a lot of work, but if you line it up nicely, like how you did those hats today, it will function the way you're supposed to function. So this is what I want you to do for me. I am going to put in the simple prompt that I created, which is just to say, create the checklist. And then I'm going to put in this prompt that I've created using prompt engineering in the chat. And I want you to put both into whatever AI you are using and show what answer you got for both of them. And I want you to put in the chat. I don't want you to put the answer that you got, but I want you to write in the chat for me which one provided you with the information you needed. So if someone could please mute their mic, that would be awesome. Thank you. So I'll give you a couple of minutes. We put in the two questions, the two prompts into the chat, the simple one that most people use, and then we put in the one that uses prompt engineering. And I want you to share with us in the chat the one that you found was easier to use. So we're going to put in the two prompts for you, the simple one and the more ornate one that uses prompt engineering. And you all will compare and see which one turned out to be, which one you found more useful. The first one, which is the simple one, or the second one, which uses prompt engineering. So we're putting it in the chat now. Sorry for the little delay. And it's in the chat. You'll see the first one that just says create a checklist. And then the second one is pretty long. So I want you to put in both into your whatever you are using and tell me if you prefer the short one that does not use prompt engineering, or tell me if you prefer the longer one that uses prompt engineering. So we'll give you a little time. Maybe I should pull up my participants list and call a name and say, which one do you prefer? We have lots of participants here today. So maybe I'll do that. I'll just call a name and say, which one do you prefer? How about if I keep you on your toes? So I want you to tell me of the two answers you got, which one do you prefer? Do you prefer the one that uses the prompt engineering, or do you prefer the first one, which is just a simple statement that says create? The longer version was better, Jewel said. Jewel, do you want to unmute your mic for a second and tell me why you prefer the longer version?
So good morning, everyone. Using the prompt engineering, the information was specific, it was measurable, it was relatable. The goals and expectations were outlined clearly, which was making it easier to follow your design objectives for the lesson, as opposed to very vague and having to tailor the information after. The information was already created in a structure that you could just easily piece together and pull out the information that you required.
Thank you so very much for sharing that with us. Joel, one more question for you. Would you add anything to this prompt that you think would be useful? I could see a couple things that I would add to it now, looking in hindsight. Do you see anything you would add?
Yes, well, it always will have things you can add based on the specific objectives of the lesson and what is the desired learning outcome. For example, if you have a learner with a special requirement or a special need, you could tailor it using the prompt engineering method. And that's just one example, but the possibilities are really limitless as to what you could add in.
Thank you so very much for sharing it. And that's something that I didn't think about. I was thinking about Trinidad and Tobago, right? Because it could provide information. I could even upload the syllabus, the Trinidad and Tobago curriculum into the prompt engineer Erinam tool, and it will provide that context as well. So that's something you could do. So you know you had to get some work to do, right? You can't come here and learn whole day and not get some work to do, right? So I have given you the model for prompt engineering. You have 10 minutes. I have given you the basic question is that you have to create a 3-day plan for teaching shapes to 3-year-old through song and play. I want you to prompt engineer it and write a prompt for me using the model that we established, and then take a picture of it or put it in the chat. However, way you want to put it in the chat, but I want to see it in the chat. I'm not going to give you this special surprise I have for you unless I see it in the chat. So you have the prompt engineering model. I want you to take this task and I want you to create for me a prompt. So yes, Sama, I'll take your question quickly while you all create the prompt.
It wasn't the question. Hi, good morning. You all hearing me, right?
Yes, we are, Summer.
Yes, it's not a question. It was my hand was raised when you asked which one I preferred. I prefer the longer version because it's more detailed, it's more exact. I find this very exciting because this is a lot that we are getting here, people to help our children. And I think this 3-day plan for 3-year-olds is very good, but we're going to need a little time to, organize it and get it done as best as possible. Because I want
I
you to
know.
chat.
So
Pardon?
here's what I will tell you to do. Use the formula and see what you could do. And of course, as you do it, you will always refine. So what I want to see is your first draft using the formula. Is that okay?
Yes, it is. Not a problem.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. So I'm waiting to see what your first draft looks like. Eagerly waiting. If you need a little help, don't be shy. Just raise your hand and I will try to answer your questions as best as I can. Hi, thank you so very much for joining us. We're just reminding, don't forget to check to make sure your mics are muted. So I'm waiting for some responses and I'm beginning to see some responses in the chat. Wow, y'all did some good work. So I'm going to choose one person to read theirs for us, their prompt, to see what they did and how they did it. So I'll wait a couple more minutes and then we'll ask one person to read the prompt that they created. I want you to create the prompt. So look at the model. If you want us, we can put the model back into the chat again for you so that you can download it. And I want you to use the model to create a prompt. So I'm seeing persons taking pictures. That's awesome. So let's see who we're going to ask to show us, to read for us the prompt that they have created. I'll give you 2 more minutes and then we'll ask someone to read the prompt that they have created. We're going to resend the model back for you. Don't worry. We just sent it, so it should be in the chat. And some people are actually put in the prompt that they created into their language model system, and it's actually producing responses for them with times. That's interesting. But what I am interested in is seeing the prompt. So we're going to ask Cindy to read her prompt for us. And I'll give you 1 more minute and we'll choose one other person to read the prompt.
Hi, Miss. Hi, Miss Cindy.
Hi. Hi, Cindy. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm going to read the prompt.
Sure,
So
go ahead.
I have to create a 3-day lesson plan to teach
Yes.
shape, song, and play.
Yes.
You're an ECC educator working in a semi-urban school with a group of 3-year-olds. The plan should include clear daily objectives, what children should learn each day.
Hi, Cindy. Can you hear me? We seem to lost you for a second. Summer, I'm coming to you just now, Summer. Hi, Cindy. Can you hear me? So while we're waiting for Cindy to reconnect, let's see if we can find someone else. So let's scroll along and see if anyone else has put in their prompt in the chat. Okay, so Lydia, would you mind reading your prompt for us?
Hi, everyone. My prompt, 1 minute, let me just go up back to the top. Um, okay, so I wrote, create a 3-day plan for teaching shapes to 3-year-olds through songs and play. I'm a teacher assistant working at Golconda Government, ECCE. The plan should include repetition, movement, and visuals clearly. Provide links of videos. Keep the tone teacher-friendly and age-appropriate. Format the plan to fit on one page.
Great.
That was it.
And anything else you think that you may want to put, like for example, you may want to say include local songs or local games to bring in the context and to centralize
Narrow
it to
down.
Trinidad and Tobago. So that's a great way. You might want to include a checklist with it because you want to ensure that the skill that you want them to complete at the end of the teaching shapes has been done. So you may want to include things like that. And then of course you have to say how you want the checklist. Is that okay, Lydia? Things that you could
Yes,
think about adding? Yes?
yes, thank you.
Anything else you all could think about that Lydia could add to her prompt? Just write it in the chat, please.
Hi, Miss Cindy again, and I apologize. I got cut off.
That's okay. It happens. Technology is our friend, but it could also be our enemy, right? But we want it to be our friend. So could you continue, please, first, Cindy? Thank you so very much.
Yes, so the plan should include clear daily objectives, what children should learn each day, age appropriate for 3-year-olds, engage in activities that use songs, rhymes, movements, and play-based learning to introduce, reinforce basic shapes, and we have the basic shapes. Materials needed, simple classroom items, musical instruments, visual aids, or everyday objects. And here we could always pick in the steel pan as well to be local.
Oh, I love it. Go ahead.
Assessment methods, a yes or no or observation-based checklist of behaviors. A teacher-friendly, encouraging tone suitable for 3-year-olds. A format that fits neatly on one page per day.
So, and you may want to include a space for your administrator's comments, right? Because you know you're
Okay.
supposed to pass through your plan through your principal, right? So you might want to include that into your prompt engineering. Yes?
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
for feedback as a collaborative group, right? So there are lots of things you could think about putting as you work with the prompt and as you think about your context and all the things that you do, and you can put them into the prompt engineering. So we are coming to the end of my presentation. And because I love you so, so very much, I want to share 2 resources with you. So the first is I want to say, don't build things that already are built, right? If you go to this site called AI for Education, they have a lot of prompts for educators, and they have prompts for administration, for assessment, for communication, for students, and lesson planning, for professional development, for social emotional learning, and for special ed. So what you can do is you could check it out and tweak them to suit your context and your environment. So that's one little piece of love I have for you. And the second one we're going to share in the chat now is that I have created 8 prompts that I think that ECCE teachers would find useful. And I hope that you find it useful. I am a high school teacher and tertiary educator, and sometimes I forget what is important for you. So I hope that I targeted the skills that are important to you. And of course, your curriculum officers helped us to think about the skills that are important to you. So we are sharing it in the chat now for you. The 8 prompts for ECC. And I have put in the slide AI for education, and you can find a lot of the prompts there. I want to thank you for being such an engaging and interesting and energetic audience this morning. I just want to remind you of two things before we leave. My session is over, and that is be careful about the information that you put into the system. Remember that you are working with vulnerable populations. You don't want to use students' names and too much information, personal identification information about students. Remember that AI is just growing and we don't know all the possibilities or who is collecting the data. So I want you to be mindful about that, about protecting your charges by how you use the AI. And the second thing is remember it lies. So the onus is on you to check, to double check, and to triple check. And this is where your critical thinking skills will grow and improve as you deal with the sarcastic nature of it and as you deal with the hallucinations. Thank you again, and I will now turn you over to the